Welcome to week 6 of the PTW podcast. My name is Amir, and with me is, as always, is Tassi the Football Greek, coming off of a big divisional win on Thursday Night Football against the Seahawks, improving to 3-3 on the season.
3-3, baby.
How are you feeling, Tassi, after that game?
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Yeah, man, it was a good game. I mean, there was some stuff that was annoying about the game for sure. Like they were winning at one point 20-3, and then special teams again lets them off. Like basically lets them down. They got the kicker. I think was his name Matthew Wright. He can't even kick it into the end zone. Like basically Seattle was returning it every time. So not only did they get a touchdown returned on it and almost like swung the momentum, and basically Seattle almost came back and won the game because of it, but also at the end of the game, this dude has to make a tackle because their special teams is so bad, and he like busts his shoulder. So now who knows what's going to happen with the kicker. We're going to go into another kicker. So another kicker gets hurt on special teams. So that was my instant takeaway of annoying. But then I'll get to the good stuff. Like George Kittle, he was fighting it all game. You could tell he was like thrown up on the sideline, has 2 touchdowns. And then Debo, making big plays. I think like he averages like 6 catches, 100+ yards, and a touchdown versus the Seahawks, like first career, which is insane. And so like he kept up those stats that he has
division games, man.
Yeah, big time. And then Brock Purdy, doing his thing. Unfortunately, Jordan Mason got hurt this game, so he had a shoulder injury. But then Garendo came in; he did a pretty good job, and him and Patrick Taylor. Filling in, and Garendo had basically the ceiling, 70+ yard run.
Yes.
He probably should have just scored. I don't know why he slowed down, because if you think about it, Seattle was down 5, so they actually wanted the Niners to kick a field goal there if they got time left, because they could have basically tied the game. If it was 8 points, right?
I was under the impression that he got clipped.
Yeah, he did, but it seemed like he slowed down a little. He slowed down a little bit. It was weird. I was like, because the dude's faster than that. Like he kind of like slowed down. It was strange. It was like he thought maybe he needs to like stay in bounds.
Well, it's one of those things where because Seattle, I think at that point had 2 timeouts left.
Yeah, they had 2
and
timeouts.
So I mean, theoretically, you just run the clock out and you're done, because they can't time out on 3rd down.
Yeah.
So you're good, right? But Niners got the extra TD at the end to seal the game.
Yeah. Huge check, baby.
Seattle made it close at the end. That 4th and goal pass from Geno.
To Tyler Lockett. Yeah, that was pretty money.
It was pretty money. And
Niners got a couple of things. They got lucky with some of the penalties that Seattle had. Like they had some tough penalties that kind of cost them. Like some of the, like the face mask against Debo, that was a big one. And then, the false start or legal formation on, DK Metcalf's like long touchdown. That was another huge penalty. But, the other thing, I don't know what the refs were doing. I know they picked up the flag because Conley was pushed into the punt returner, but he touched the ball and it was clear. And there's no way on the broadcast they say, oh, they didn't have the right angles or whatever. You're telling me that the NFL officiating, they don't have all the angles that they're showing to the public, that they're showing on their national broadcast? You're telling me they don't have these angles?
Exactly.
Are you kidding me, bro? You're lying to us. Like that's
100%.
clear. That's clear that they're trying to manipulate the game because they don't want to make a call that they know is going to change the outcome. Like if they give the Niners the ball there, they're already up, 6 points or 6 points at that point. Like the game's pretty much over. So like, no, we're going to give the ball back to Seattle, let them try to, tie the game up basically. Luckily they got the interception, which was the hugest thing, from the rookie, Renardo Green, which he played a good game, having to step up the Javarius Ward out. And then Mustafa, the other rookie, played safety today, and with Hufanga out, and he played great too, and had an interception on the first drive. So 2 big plays by the rookies helped seal the game. And then like the NFL officiating, like what what's going on here, bro? Like, what's
You
going
know,
on with that?
you know what's hilarious is that the XFL. I don't know if you've ever seen the XFL product, but the XFL has this whole system where they every play that they review, they like have a camera in the review station where they're like looking at they're looking at the screens. You're hearing the
Transparency.
guy talk, be like, okay, like here's the thing, blah blah blah. You hear him communicating to the ref, like, hey, this is the call, make this call. And it's the most, you can't argue it because they have all the angles that they use for the home audience. And to your point, like, so I had a friend of mine, that I used to work with who used to cover Raider games. He was a cameraman. Cameraman that I used to work with. He told me, and this is back in the 90s. So you can imagine now in 2024, it's way more. But in the late 90s, Oakland Coliseum, when the Raiders played in Oakland, they would have 22 cameras covering the game. 22 different angles, 22 different whatever. You had sideline cameras, goal line cameras. You had, whatever, bird's eye view camera. You had all the stuff that you had.
All kinds of cameras.
And that's 98, 99. In 2024, you've got 4K this, 8K this. You've got so many. There's so many ways to see
cameras
like
everywhere.
Exactly what happened. And
cameras
they
on
still want
helmets probably.
I mean, that's the next thing, that's honestly the next step, right?
But to say that they didn't have the angle, it's total BS. They were lying. They're lying to everybody. They had the angle. They saw it. They just didn't want to call it. They didn't want to give the Niners the ball at that point because they knew that would have basically sealed the game.
You guys improved to 3-3, key divisional win, away game divisional win, Thursday night divisional win. So you now get a lot of rest. Go into week 7, little lighter, right? You're not full of pressure to get the ship. So improving on 1 and 2 in the division, and it'll
still not what it should be.
And I'm sure, but it is what it is, and but a division win is a division win, right?
Yeah.
So 3-3 going into week 7.
Where they face the Chiefs for the rematch, Super Bowl rematch coming up. I'm
still petitioning. I'm still petitioning to have a camera on you 100% the entire time. Just live stream Tossie the whole time. That's all I want to see.
The anger, like
I want to see the venom,
the agony,
spitting out of your mouth.
It's all coming. It's all coming.
That's what I want to see
in about 10 days.
I would love to see it. I love to see it. Well, Thursday night's not the only game that the NFL is playing this week, or that the NFL has on its docket this week. There's a whole slew of games. Thankfully for me, I get to live anxiety-free this week. The Dolphins do not play, and so that's a win.
On a bye.
That's a win automatically. Week 6 bye, and you know what? I'm usually not a fan of early buys. I'm usually, when the schedule comes out, I'm always hoping for like a week 9, a week 10, maybe a week 12 buy, somewhere around that. And when I saw a week 6 buy, I'm like, oh man, this is annoying. It's way too early in the season. It could not have come at a better time. My goodness, does my team, do the Dolphins need this freaking buy? Because holy shit, a lot of them are hurt. A lot of they need to figure out their play calling. They need to figure out the whole culture there. Tyreek's had 1 touchdown on the first game of the season, and that's
crazy.
It. He's been a ghost ever since, and who's throwing to him, so I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But still, week 6 bye, I'm welcoming it with open arms. I'm very happy to have a bye in week 6, as far as the Dolphins are concerned. However, there are other teams in the NFL, 31 other teams, in fact.
There are.
We're gonna talk about them, starting with and the games that we don't have a whole lot to say. We're just kind of gonna skim over.
Yeah.
But the game that kind of sticks out to me immediately from the morning row of games is that second game that we're looking at, the Commanders at Ravers. And you know what? As much as I've been on the Commanders train, and I've been an advocate for that team since they've been showing up and showing out, and big fan of what Jaden Daniels is doing, and big fan of what Dan Quinn's doing over there. I think this is the game where they get found out.
Yeah,
I think this is the game where reality reality kind of comes crashing back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think the Ravens take this. I don't think it'll be super one-sided, but that's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the Ravens are just too good. They're at home. They're hot right now. They just came off that crazy game against the Bengals in which they, it's just a back and forth, and it was a comeback in the fourth quarter. Lamar's playing great. Derrick Henry's playing great. I don't think they're going to lose at home to the Commanders. I mean, the Commanders have been playing great. Granted, Jane Daniels is playing awesome. He's playing like the rookie of the year. He should get it if he continues this play. But Lamar, he's on another level right now. He's playing what Jaden Daniels eventually would want to be. I think like they're very like similar quarterbacks. Like I know that there was some comparison in the media this week, and Jaden Daniels like, no, I'm me. Lamar's Lamar, but still you can't help but compare them. Very similar games with the rushing ability and the strong arms, be it the accuracy. Jaden Daniels is a little bit more accurate than Lamar Jackson, actually, especially with his high completion rate. He's like completing over 70% of his passes right now. So, he's playing awesome for a rookie, but I don't think that they're going to be able to go into Baltimore and win. So I think it's going to be a competitive game, but Ravens will win that game.
Cardinals at Packers.
All right.
I don't have a hard opinion on this. I think I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. I know exactly what you're gonna say. The Cardinals should not have won last week. They're not that good of a team. Just like the Rams are not that good of a team, and they shouldn't have won either.
Exactly. No, the Packers are a good team, man. They're at home. Cardinals, they have a terrible run defense. Terrible. Josh Jacobs gonna have a big game in this game.
Is the Packers defense that good though?
Because defense has been a little suspect lately.
They've been in a lot of high scoring games, man.
Yeah.
Like
they've been giving up a lot of points.
They've given up a lot of points, and Arizona's offense is nothing to sneeze at. I don't know, man.
Arizona's been playing well.
I don't know.
James Conner, man, that guy's a beast. He's going to be running hard. Kyler's been playing well, but I do think the Packers are going to win this game. What's going to happen is the Packers defense, they play well like at home, and then they also play well when the game's on the line. I mean, they stopped the Rams. They could have lost that game against the Rams, but when it was fourth down, fourth quarter, last drive of the game, they were able to stop them. So I do think the Packers defense will come to play a little bit better. I think the Cardinals, they're a little predictable. Kyler's kind of like hit or miss. Like, it just depends on how late he was playing COD the night before. So we'll see how he handles going to Green Bay. There's not a lot to do in Green Bay. There's I don't know if it's snowing yet, but there's not a lot to do there. So he's probably going to be they're going to get there Friday night. He's going to go on a little Call of Duty bender, and then probably won't be ready to play.
He's gonna eat some cheese and be bloated for his game.
Call of Duty bender.
I'm gonna go.
No,
I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna go the opposite.
All right.
I'm picking Cardinals.
So we
I'm
disagree.
picking Cardinals.
Cardinals it is. All right. So I'm going Packers, Cardinals.
Bears, Jaguars. It's the Bears. I mean, the game's in London. It's in London, but I don't think that makes a difference. It's the Bears.
So honestly, the London games, for the one team I think it makes a difference is the Jaguars. So they have to do it every year. They're basically like London's team. It's like you're home away from home.
You know what their record is in London? They played 11 games. They're 6-5.
They're
6-5.
Like
they're 500. It's a coin toss. It's a coin toss.
Technically, yes, but I know Chicago. They don't play in London often, so like this is kind of like their first time I think playing in London.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the travel and Jaguars are used to it. I think the Jaguars are going to turn it around. I think they're going to win this game. So I know that Chicago has a better defense and they have a little bit more together, but I think Jacksonville is better than they've shown. They got the big win last week. They played a really good game against Indy, and I think they're going to continue that and get their second win of the season.
Okay.
So we're at odds today.
We're at odds right now.
We're at odds. Not like last week. We're like all the games. We're like in agreement.
we're about to line up again. Texans Patriots is not even close.
Yeah.
I think Texans walk even with Drake May starting at quarterback for the Patriots. Jacoby Brissett is officially benched. Drake May is starting.
Yep.
And here's the thing: rookie quarterback. We have no idea how Drake May is going to perform. We don't know if he's going to be like the second coming of Josh Allen, or we don't know if he's going to be the second coming of Johnny Manziel, right? So we'll find out. We'll find out. But for now, Texans for sure.
Yeah, this is an easy game.
Even without Nico Collins, by the way. Even without Nico Collins, they'll be fine.
I think from a fantasy perspective, like like a lot of people are saying, like, hey, Tank Dell's going to be back, and I agree with that. I think Tank Dell's going to pick up the slack there. I mean, he's kind of been like in and out of the lineup. He's hurt a little bit still at the beginning of the year, but he was so good his rookie year. I think this is the game where he kind of comes out. Kind of reestablishes himself with Nico out, and him and Stephon Diggs are going to do their thing. I know that Joe Mixon was practicing limited today, so him and Damian Pierce. So we'll see how that backfield shakes out, because that's like been kind of like what's going on. You got like Dare Ogunbala, you got Cam Akers, so I think if Mixon gets another practice in tomorrow, and he's in the game, I think he's the guy you want, like he's their starting running back, and look to him to have a good game against the Patriots, because they don't really have a good run defense.
Absolutely.
So I think if they get Mixon back, I think he's in for a big game.
Yeah. The Buccaneers picked a hell of a week to be on the road. Talk about serendipity, right? First off, thoughts and prayers to everyone who is dealing with the hurricane in Florida, and to those who are still suffering from the ones in the Carolinas as well.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks.
Hope everyone is being safe out there. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers leave the state of Florida to travel to New Orleans, another city that knows its fair share of hurricanes, for an NFC South battle. And
another rookie quarterback.
Yeah, Saints without Derek Carr. How long is he going to be out for?
Couple weeks, but it looks like they're going to start Spencer Rattler.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. So he's going to be starting quarterback for New Orleans. Honestly, this is Tampa Bay's game. I think after that loss last week with Kirk Cousins, they're coming off kind of that mini bye, extended rest. They're going to have a lot to play for, with like all that's going on in their home city. I think they're going to come out motivated, and, the fact that New Orleans, has like this unproven quarterback is probably not that good. But we'll see. I mean, you can't make any judgment. I haven't seen him play yet, but we'll see. Just like kind of like Drake May, right? She's like, the guy might be like the second coming, or he might just be terrible. So, we'll see how that goes. And
you never know, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that Tampa Bay is going to come out and firing, and, New Orleans defense like started off strong the first few weeks, but they haven't been that great lately. And I see, Tampa Bay doing their thing offensively against their defense, and it's going to be hard for New Orleans to score points. It's going to be on Kamara's plate, and like I think he's going to take a hit fantasy wise. He's been really good. He's been dealing with some injuries too, like a hand and a hip. So I probably fade him in fantasy, even though he's been like one of the top running backs. But it's going to be tough to get anything going with Spencer Rattler as your quarterback. So, all the Saints receivers, I wouldn't really like Shaheed and those guys and Olave, probably aren't good plays this week either.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This next one, I think we'll agree on as well. But although I'm kind of going back and forth on this one. The Cleveland Browns, as terrible as they are traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it's the Eagles, right? It has to be. But talk about two teams who had so much promise at the beginning of the season, and 5 weeks in, both of them I feel like have big question marks about the team in general. I'm still not on the train of I'm not on the bandwagon of Jalen Hurts is a terrible quarterback. I don't think that, because I saw homeboy ball his ass off in the Super Bowl in that loss, he was easily the best player of that game.
Yeah.
Easily the best player of that game. So I've seen Jalen Hurts kill it before. So I know it's in him. So maybe he's just having like a rough patch. I don't think Nick Sirianni is a very good coach.
No.
But, what's going on with Cleveland, Deshaun Watson and everything, that needs to be studied, right? That is NFL
how to
GM,
not run it.
how to not run an organization 101, right?
Yeah.
So talk about two franchises that had so much promise going into the season, both playoff teams last year, both really struggling right now. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen with this one.
Well, Eagles coming off their bye, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to figure it out, but I know that Saquon Barkley is a beast, and they're at home. Cleveland is terrible.
They're bad.
Deshaun Watson is terrible. Like they're talking about benching him for Jameis Winston, and I think that might happen in the next.
I wouldn't blame him,
especially if he keeps playing like this.
I wouldn't blame him. Yeah.
I think but maybe even as early as next week he could be, not the starter anymore, and it could be Jameis Winston. So, I think Philly's going to just destroy them. To be honest, I think this is going to be Philly's getting their weapons back. It sounds like AJ Brown's going to play, Devontae Smith's going to play, and then they got Saquon, and they've got the tight end's name I forgot now, but it's always fun to say. I always feel like it's like a French
for the Eagles.
Goyer. What's his name? God,
I don't know.
It's like Goyer or something like that. I forgot his name. Goddard. Dallas Goddard. Go Dart. I don't know. It looks like it's some kind of French cheese, but it's not. He's from Philly. I don't know.
It's a Philly cheese.
It's a Philly cheese. You don't put it on a cheese
steak.
But like Philly's got all their weapons back. They're gonna run away with this. I don't see this game being close. So I'd put the Eagles.
I'm picking the Eagles as well. Colts travel to Tennessee. Colts. I don't know. Joe Flacco. Like that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could point to and be like, they've got Joe Flacco. I'm very much a pro Joe Flacco guy these days. Like it's like, why wouldn't you bet on this guy? I mean, the Colts almost won last week. So
they almost did. They came back against Jacksonville and they made it a game.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, this game I'm not sure about as far as who's going to be the quarterback, because Indy, I think Anthony Richardson might be practicing, so he might be back starting at quarterback. Yep. So we'll see kind of how the practice report goes, and if he's questionable, then it's like you got to wait for the game day, right, to see if he's going to play. But I think either way, whoever they have at quarterback, they're going to beat Tennessee. Tennessee is bad, and I don't know if Will Levis is going to play. He was hurt last game. I don't know if they have to, like, what do they have, like Mitch Trubisky or whatever? Like, who was their quarterback who filled in for him? Mason Rudolph. Yeah, Mitch Trubisky is
Pittsburgh Steeler great. Yeah. Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph, like one of those guys with an M, right?
Sure.
First name. I'm doing the weave.
Mental gymnastics. It's like it's M something.
Start over here and go back.
Mark Sanchez. It's Mark. It's Mark Sanchez. It's.
Anyways, it's Mason Rudolph. If he's the quarterback, I mean, either guy, Mason Rudolph, Will Levis, Marcus Mariota.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Tennessee
what the hell is DeAndre Hopkins doing on that team? For the love of God,
he's done. He's
get him out of there. He's not cooked. Get him out of there.
Cooked.
He will flirt. Bro, okay, I'm not comparing him to Randy Moss, but
he was
people
good.
People thought Randy Moss was like not done, but he wasn't doing much as a Raider. All right, he was doing okay, and then he goes to New England, and lo and behold, has probably the greatest season a modern NFL receiver has had.
That's true.
Pretty much since Jerry Rice, right? I mean, the situation needs to be right, and
that's very true.
That's not a good situation. He's just in a shitty situation, man. It's not very bad. It's not a good situation at all.
Yeah. No. So this is Indy's game to win. I like Indy's defense in this game against Tennessee. They're the number one points to get points for fantasy for fantasy defenses when you play against Titans. So
Except if
Indianapolis Colts is a good
except if you're
defense
the
to play.
Dolphins. Except if you're the Dolphins.
That's true. Except if you're the Dolphins, unfortunately. Dolphins. Whew. Dang.
It's okay. We got our win. It's our bye week. I'm
Yeah, they
okay.
got their
I'm
way.
okay.
You guys
I'm
got it
okay.
done. You got it done.
Chargers
So,
at Broncos.
yeah, so this is a tough game because the Broncos defense is playing really well right now. Like the Broncos defense is legit with Patrick Surtain playing like he's probably the best cornerback in the league. He had an awesome interception run back for a touchdown last week. Like I think with the Chargers coming off their bye and getting back to like the Harbaugh winning ways, I do see the Chargers winning this game, but it's not going to be pretty. This is going to be one of those ugly games where it's like they're both going to try and establish the run. It's going to be like a grind it game, a very competitive defensive game because the Chargers have a pretty good defense as well. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but I think the Chargers end up pulling out the win in the end.
Yeah, I'm actually a little, and I know at the beginning of the season you had said specifically that Harbaugh was very much going to be keen on running the ball in LA, but I've been kind of surprised at how like ugly some of these games have been. Yeah. They're very much like they're just kind of like playing like I don't want to say messy football, but they're just like there's no finesse at all. With the Chargers right now.
That's the Harbaugh way, man. Like that's how the Niners were too. Is these really grind it like he would barely open up the offense. He did a little bit with Kaepernick, especially when they were down, but like Herbert's like not putting up any numbers. Like no, he's been a terrible. I have him in fantasy on one of my 2 quarterback league teams. He's been terrible. He's been like he's not scoring like barely scoring like 10 points a game in fantasy. Just like terrible.
And this being the guy who had like record numbers as a rookie,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, what happened to this guy? Like they don't let him. I think it's the game plan. I think it's how they're using him, what they're playing. Like they just want to grind it out. They don't want to let him air it out. Yeah. And that's basically what's happening.
It's almost like they don't trust him per se. Like they're not. He hasn't gotten a grasp of the new offense or anything like that, and he's just kind of figuring it out. And so in the meantime, they're like, let's just take it out of your hands. We're just going to run it. We're going to rely on the defense.
Yeah.
Play hard-nosed football and just go from there.
Yeah.
Speaking of
that's what they're doing.
Speaking of hard-nosed football. Yeah, I agree. Speaking of hard-nosed, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to Las Vegas. I think it's not even going to be close. I don't see, the Raiders lost a huge defensive piece in Christian Wilkins.
Yeah.
Max Crosby is hurt. Devontae Adams is still not playing.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is already out because he wants to get traded. He's not hurt. It's because he wants to get traded. So he's just sitting out at this point.
Sure.
And Jacoby Myers also is hurt. And they benched Gardner Minshew, and they're going with Aiden O'Connell I think it's O'Connell or O'Donnell. Who knows? Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
He stinks. He's not going to be good. And Pittsburgh Steelers defense is just too good. It's going to be a long day for the Raiders and their like lack of weapons. Like they literally, they have like Zamir White, who's terrible. They have like Amir Abdullah at running back. They've got Madison, who's been okay, decent. Like he's been good catching the ball in the backfield. But honestly, Pittsburgh is just going to mop them. And Justin Fields still getting the chance to start. Russell Wilson is back at practice. So it's kind of breathing down his neck. I think, Justin Fields, if he doesn't play well, they've already lost 2 in a row now. If they lose this game somehow, some way, which they won't, but if they did, like Russell Wilson will be starting for the Steelers again, or like he'll start, because he never started for them, but he'll start if they lose this game. But they're not going to lose this game. I think they're gonna it's going to be a blowout. I think Pittsburgh.
When is the trade deadline? Do you know?
November 4th, I want to say. It's like the early November. So it's coming up. So either Devontae Adams is going to sit out the next couple of weeks or he's going to get traded pretty soon. And I
No,
don't know what's taking so long. It's like literally, if you're gonna trade him now because
November 4th. Okay, I have a hot take.
Yeah.
I have a hot take
All right, let's hear
because
it.
before November 4th, Miami plays the Colts without Tua, Arizona with Tua, and Buffalo with Tua.
Okay.
If Miami gets any traction in those games and has any possibility of winning, let's say 2 out of those 3 games, because they're not beating Buffalo, maybe they get lucky against the Colts and maybe they get lucky against Arizona.
Yeah.
I think Miami trades for Russell Wilson. And the question is, why would Pittsburgh give him up? That's stupid. Like, what if Justin Fields gets hurt? Then like, who's going to be the backup? But I think if Miami is in win now mode, which I fully still believe that they are in win now mode, to save their own asses in case Tua goes down again.
Yeah, possibility.
You can't rely on Tyler Huntley. You can't rely on Skylar Thompson, and they cut Tim Boyle. So, so get Russell. Bring him in. And I wouldn't be shocked if Miami trades like a 2nd round pick and says like, here you go. Because we need a break glass in case of emergency quarterback who is competent and who can be durable and who can
throw a good deep ball.
He throws a good deep ball and
I'll be tossing it up to Tyreek. I wouldn't mind
run
that,
for first downs if we need to. And I would not be shocked at the slightest, because here's another sad prediction. I think Tua gets hurt again, and if he does, it's one of those things where it's like
over.
You can't throw your season away based on one player. You need to have the insurance policy, and so I think Russ. That's my bold prediction. I feel like if Miami even gets a sniff at having a winning record after those 3 games, they trade for Russell. If not, if they lose all 3 games, I mean, the season's over. And like, what's the point? Why spend your draft capital when you can use it on the future, right? But like, if you're winning and like you're getting some traction in there, then why not? A 2nd rounder, I'd do it. I would do it.
Yeah, that's the hot take, man. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Let's see how they do. Obviously, they got to win.
They got to win
at least 2 of those games.
I think they got to win at least 2 of those games. If they beat the Colts and the Cardinals, then I think that becomes a real possibility. If they lose to the Colts and the Cardinals and they lose to the Bills because they're going to lose to the Bills, forget about it. Like there's no point.
Then it's Tyler Huntley time.
It's Tyler Huntley time again. What a season. The Falcons travel to Carolina and improve to 4-2. I think that's the story, and I think we're done. We can just move on.
Falcons are playing well right now. Carolina not playing well. They're pretty bad. The romanticizing of the Red Rifle is hit the skids. It's take him out on the prairie. It's time to take Old Yeller out and say goodbye.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad.
He's done.
I feel bad for Carolina, but it is what it is.
They're done. You know who's good though on their team fantasy wise? Secretly is Chuba Hubbard. That dude has been balling. Like he's been like scoring like tons of fantasy points every week. So if you got him late in your fantasy drafts, or he's still around on the wire, which he probably is not at this point, like that dude he's putting up quietly a pretty monster season, like fantasy wise. So top 10 fantasy stuff here. So for the running backs, so good name to look at from the fantasy perspective in that game. And then on the Atlanta side, man, you like that? You like Kirk Cousins? Because he's going to be throwing for a ton more yards against Carolina and their crappy defense. So
for sure,
look for him and Darnell Mooney. Hopefully Darnell Mooney plays. He showed up on the injury report, so he's been limited, but he has been at practice. So hopefully he plays. But him, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, maybe. He's kind of hit or miss, but like you're starting those receivers with Cousins and Bijan Robinson. He's a baller. So, but Atlanta wins this game pretty handily. Their defense has been playing well too, especially division wise. So, they'll make some plays, and we'll see Atlanta go to 4-2, tied for the lead in the division with I think Tampa Bay at this point, which we're also going to get a win.
The Lions go to Jerry World. By the way, the Falcons are winning. The Lions go to Jerry World. And I think the Lions improved to 4-1. I mean, I
Yeah,
I
this
I
is
I I've been a champion of the Cowboys on this podcast, but I think this is just the Lions are too good, in my
yeah.
opinion.
So I think this is a fun game. This is a fantasy fun game. This is like one of those games where like you put in your guys and you're like, all right, we're gonna score some points. Like you
Nice.
know that the guys on Detroit are gonna, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, like the two running backs, Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs. They're gonna be putting up. I think Lions probably get 5 touchdowns in this game, and the Cowboys are probably going to get 3 or 4. With their offense, like their offense is starting to play a little bit better. They've decided on who's going to be their starting running back, in Rico Dowdy or Dowdle, yeah, Dowdle,
That'll.
and Jalen Tolbert is secondary receiver there, and they got CeeDee Lamb who's balling, and Ferguson who's a decent tight end. So Dallas is going to put up points. Like their offense is starting to play a little bit better, especially now that they kind of found a run game. And I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I'm probably going to be the highest scoring game of the week.
Okay.
And so if you want to bet the over there, the over is probably still pretty high. I would say. I don't know what it is. I can't really see it on there. Can you see it? Like, what's the over on that game? It's
It
like
doesn't say.
probably close to 50.
Yeah, it doesn't say the over. I'll find out
Yeah.
though. I
Yeah.
think I'll push back. I think the highest scoring game of the week is going to be Commanders and Ravens, just because
Mm.
every game that the Ravens have been in, their defense has also been giving up a ton of points.
The defense hasn't played well so far this season, but I think this is the week that they'll start to play a little bit better. I don't think it will be as high scoring. I think the Commanders probably they'll probably get 2 to 3 touchdowns in the game, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be like this game where it's like I expect this game to be like high scoring. Like
Yeah. 52 and a half points, by the way.
Yep, 52 and a half. So I think it's going over that, to be honest. I think the Lions put up at least 35, and Cowboys will get 28 to 30. Like it's going to be a high scoring game. But I think Detroit wins this game.
I agree with you there. I think the Lions take it. Sunday night is the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a weird interconference game. AFC North versus NFC East. Bengals versus Giants. It's a very random game to be on Sunday night.
So random. So random. It's like the New York market, man. You got to put them on Sunday night somewhere.
You got to put them on Sunday night. Yeah. Well, not just Sunday night. Monday night too. Like they're gonna flip that field. Yeah. They're gonna flip that field in 24 hours and make it a Jets field. Apparently,
that crappy ass field. It's like the worst field.
That field. MetLife is terrible.
So bad.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion on this game. I don't.
No opinion.
No opinion.
The Giants. They're coming off a huge win off Seattle. I mean, that was a great win for them.
Huge.
I mean, that was probably going to be their biggest win of the season, but I don't think Bengals. They just came off a really tough game against the Ravens, and they probably should have won that game. They blew the lead at the end. They're going to come out firing, and New York Giants, their defense is okay. Like Seattle, if you think about it, they should have won the game. They made some mistakes last week, and I think the things to look out for, especially in this game, are the running backs at both positions. If you're looking at from a fantasy perspective, Zach Moss dealing with an ankle injury or foot injury, like it's not quite clear. He's been limited. He is practicing though, and then Chase Brown is dinged up too. He missed practice today, so there's some question mark about who's going to be the Cincinnati running back. I think if one of those guys is out and the other guy's in, like look for a big game from them. And then because I don't think New York's really that great at defense. So, even though they flew around against Seattle, but Seattle just played into their hands last week. They threw the ball so many times. They only handed the ball off 6 or 7 times to Kenneth Walker, who had a monster game the week before against Detroit. It's literally this guy's coming off 3 touchdown, huge game where he came back, and then you're going to only give him 5 carries. It was the worst coaching. They should have won that game. Anyways, getting back to the game. And then on the Giants side, we saw like the number one pickup this week is Tracy Jr. I played him. He was really good. He had like 128 rushing yards and a really good game against Seattle. But it looks like Devin Singletary is going to be back this week. He's practice limited both days. He was doubtful last week. He practiced last Friday too. He was almost played. So I think he'll be back. And then so you kind of got to put the brakes on that the Tracy Junior hype, like because he was like everyone was like, oh man, he's gonna be the next thing, and then looks like Devin Singletary is gonna be just miss 1 week. So I think if Devin Singletary plays, then he's gonna got the guy you want in the Giants backfield to start, and Tracy's back to the backup role. He might get like some, a couple third down plays, but that's probably about it.
Who are you picking in this game?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on
Cincinnati.
that.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those games where I'm not quite sure, but I'll go with Cincinnati as well.
Gotta go with the football Greek.
I can't believe we've gone almost 41 minutes and we haven't talked about the giant elephant in the room that is the Monday night game. I guess we saved the best for last. The Buffalo Bills are traveling not too far to New Jersey to play the Jets on Monday Night Football division game. For the sake of my team, I hope it's a tie. I hope both teams lose. But I think it'll benefit the Dolphins if the Jets win. However, this is coming off of a shocking firing of Robert Saleh after the Jets lost to the Minnesota Vikings in London. A firing that Aaron Rodgers claims that he had nothing to do with. I don't agree with that at all.
He has everything to do with, because he said if the offense played better, then he probably wouldn't have got fired. But then again, they demoted their offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett.
They demoted him after the firing. So the interim coach, who I forgot his name.
Yeah,
sure.
For the Niners.
His first move was to demote Nathaniel Hackett to an unspecified role. So like, if you're not an offensive coordinator anymore, what the hell are you? Like, what are you doing on the team? Are you you're not calling plays? Are you designing plays? Are you basically
he's so bad?
I think he's just going to be like Aaron Rodgers' like quarterback assistant or something like that, because they have a QB coach already. Here's my opinion on this real quick, just so we can get it out of the way. I think this the fact that they're blaming Saleh is just next level. If you all listen, Tossie is the football Greek. He knows everything when it comes to like fantasy and players and stuff. But like, let me go on record saying I was the one that told you all at the beginning of the season that the organization, I didn't trust the Jets organization because it was corroded. I said that at the very, and that was specifically the verbiage I used, was corroded. Like, take a look at this. Take a look at the train wreck of it. And they're only 2-3, by the way. Like, they are
with a chance to tie the Bills.
They are like a player or two away from beating the Denver Broncos and being 3-2 instead. But
even the Vikings too, they had a chance at the end of the game.
They had a chance at the end. Yeah, they could very well be 4-1. But let's all panic and let's fire Robert Saleh, because we want to make noise and we want to have a real chance to win this season. Because I think they know, and I think it's becoming very evident that this is the last season for Aaron Rodgers as a New York Jet. I don't think he comes back in year 3. So this is the be all end all. This is what they have taken all their chips and they've gone all in on this season, and they needed a scapegoat. They needed something to wake the players up, apparently, and that's to fire Robert Saleh and apparently reportedly escort him out of the building, which there are varying reports saying like he didn't get escorted. There are some reports saying that he did get escorted, that he didn't get a chance to say goodbye, that he did get a chance to say goodbye. Look, at the end of the day, it's messed up, right?
Yeah.
And if I was the 49ers, after the bye week, I would have a sit down with my DC and be like, look, we appreciate everything you're doing. It's not you. It's not you, it's me. And I'm just not happy. And we're gonna put you over here, and I'm gonna bring my good friend Robert Saleh back in, because what that would be. I mean,
that's what they need. I was like praying for it. Like, as a Niners fan, it's like, bring Saleh back. I think everybody has the same mindset. Put Sorensen back in charge of the cornerbacks. Like, like keep who's the guy that they hired from the Chargers? Like, he's so bad of a head coach from last year, and he's in their defensive. He's like their other defensive coordinator now.
Yeah,
He's like
whatever
always the
his
guy that
name
will go
was.
for on fourth down. Like, he was so bad for the Chargers. Remember how bad he was? But anyway, I forgot his name. But now he's a Niners coach, so obviously, whatever. But I think Saleh, in the end, like, he says that he's not going to coach again this year and he's going to kind of take some time. But I think he'll end up in the Niners organization at some point. If it's not this year, definitely next year.
I think so too.
Back with them.
I think so too.
And, I think, there's part of me that, hates to say this, but he wore the Lebanon patch on his shoulder. And I think that, Woody Allen, or the owner of the Jets, Woody Johnson. Is it Woody Allen? Woody Johnson?
Woody Allen's an actor.
Woody
Johnson.
But I think that had something to do with his firing. I don't know. I don't know. Like, that's what people are saying. There's a little bit of interesting thought about that. A lot of odds there. With the communities and things like that. So like, maybe sometimes playing politics in the NFL makes you get kicked off. Like, Kaepernick is a good example, right? So
that's a very interesting,
start to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Just my thought on it, but
I didn't even notice that, but that wouldn't surprise me. Dolphin fans are living in a fantasy world where they're thinking that Robert Saleh will come and be our DC next year under Mike McDaniel. I'm just gonna let you know that's not happening. It's not going to happen.
He's coming home. He's coming back to the Niners.
I would agree 100%. I would agree 100%.
It just makes too much sense. So, they didn't want to lose him before. He kind of like waited out and waited for the perfect job, and then he ended up at the Jets. And obviously it's been a total disaster. And, now he's going to take some time, but I think he'll either, if not this year, but next year, he'll be back with the Niners for sure. So
going to this game.
Yes.
Bills. Okay. So a maybe concussed Josh Allen, maybe not concussed Josh Allen. We don't know. Without a starting receiver per se.
Yeah, Shakir's still not practiced. He's still dealing with the ankle issue, and that's through today.
Yeah.
So
coming off of 2 pretty bad beats in a row.
Yeah. And Jets defense.
I mean, granted, the Bills came back in that last game and kind of made it a game, but still.
They almost won against the Texans. They almost did it. But I think, the way the Bills are playing and the way the Jets are playing, and with all the turmoil, like, usually when you get this coaching change and you have something like that, like kind of monumental, it kind of galvanizes the players, and it typically leads to a victory. So I think New York Jets, they're playing at home. Their defense is going to be galvanized. I mean, they played their asses off for Saleh. Like, they were a good defense because of Saleh. And I mean, Ulbrich, he's the defensive coordinator, so they still have like that, like a voice in the room. So I still think they're gonna be solid, and they're gonna still play for the guy. But like Sauce Gardner said, he's like, we're gonna still play for Coach Saleh. Like, they love that guy, and so he's become the scapegoat. But I think because of that, they're gonna be galvanized. They're gonna have a good game. They're gonna beat Buffalo, who really doesn't have anything on offense right now. Josh Allen's really not playing that well. Surprisingly, after he like demolished the Jaguars, he just got exposed against the Ravens and the Texans. So I do think the Jets will end up winning this game. So I think that's what happens.
I think for the sake of time on this podcast, I'll agree with you. There's a part of me that it depends on the time of day you ask me. I'll be like, oh, it's the Bills game. Maybe no, it's the Jets game. I don't know. I'll say the Jets. I agree with you on this one. Home game, division game. Division games are always tough.
And that's good for the Dolphins though too, because then
it would be great for the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins are only one game back of first.
They're only one game back. Exactly. It would be perfect for the Dolphins if the Jets win.
Or
So I'll
half
go
game back, actually.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I'm by, right? So half game.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you there. And that's hopefully what happens for the sake of the Dolphins. If not, it is what it is. I mean, this is not their year anyway, so it's all good. Folks, thank you for sticking with us throughout all of this 50-minute plus podcast, reviewing the Thursday night San Francisco win over the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football, improving to 3-3, and previewing literally every single game in week 6, who we think will win, who we think will lose. Let us know who you think in the comment section down below. And as always, if you enjoy our content, please consider liking and subscribing to the PTW podcast.
Subscribe. And come on, people.
Please do.
Hit that button.
Come on, man. We're stagnant. We've been at the same amount of subscribers now for a few weeks. So we had growth.
I know you're hearing us.
Yeah. So
come on back, baby. Love us.
Hit that subscribe button. It's a free thing to do. We're begging at this point. We sound pretty pathetic. We got to stop. Okay. Thank you for listening to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on anywhere else you listen to our podcast. And until Monday night, we will see you all. Enjoy week 6. Good luck if you're betting. Good luck if you're on fantasy. See you all on the next one. Take care.
You're welcome.